All right, Chuck, here we are with Draymond Green yet again.
The NBA world has reached its boiling point with Draymond.
The league has to make a statement to Draymond.
What's a statement?
A statement is 5 to 10 games.
Wow. How many games do you expect him to get this time?
At least 25. He's literally putting his hands on people.
I've had enough of it. This has gone on. Every time you turn around, there's an issue with Draymond Green. It drives you crazy.
It's because it feels like the commissioner can suspend him, and it doesn't matter.
I'm tired of it. At what point are we just going to look ourselves in the mirror and say Draymond Green needs help? At what point are we just going to say Draymond Green needs therapy?
How can we help this kid get better?
And now we're being told that all Draymond needs is just a little counseling.
I hate that y'all put that narrative on him.
I don't like that they're painting him that he's crazy now, though.
Yeah, like he got to go to therapy.
Yeah, like,
Let's get ready to
He takes a little swing that misses after
Draymond steps on him. What is going on with that? Wow. You've got a full-on fracas going on.
As you know, I'm not one to apologize for things I meant to do, but I do apologize to you, sir, because I didn't intend to hit him.
But what you did intend for was to sell the call, right?
I sell calls with my arms. I don't fall or to sell a call. I'm not a flopper.
You apologize to him, and then you say you didn't intend to hit him, but say that you tried to sell the call, thus you intended to hit him.
Like I said, I know my intentions. My intentions were to sell the call. You know, I also don't think I'm an accurate enough puncher to do a full 360 and connect with someone.
So in the midst of a close game in the third quarter, your intentions were to sell the call that would lead you to be ejected. Okay, that's very smart of you.
I hope Draymond gets the help he needs. It's been incident after incident, so he hasn't been that way when I was around him.
You even have KD saying he doesn't recognize the dude, and their story goes way back.
What's going on with him? I don't know. Personally, I feel like that brother needed help. You know, I'm glad he not tried to choke me, but at the same time, it had nothing to do with basketball, man.
Now, I know most of you know what he's talking about, but obviously I need to refresh the memories of those who don't, okay? November 15th, this game was pivotal, and early in the game, there was this kerfuffle.
first 2 minutes. And then look at Klay Thompson and McDaniels. What is going on with that?
Wow.
You had multiple parties involved, Jaden McDaniels, Rudy Gobert, Klay Thompson, and Steph was watching it all unfold with Draymond going on a rampage.
So Jaden McDaniels been ejected. Klay Thompson's been ejected. Draymond has been ejected.
And obviously, the event that stood out in all this was Draymond choking Gobert. Even TNT made a whole fuss about it.
And Draymond just holding him.
No, he's choking him.
No.
So here comes Rudy.
Yep, he choked
He's just holding Klay.
He choked him.
And of course, Shaq is defending Draymond, saying Rudy choked Klay first. What are we doing here?
That is neck. That's right there.
No, he let it go immediately. He let it go immediately.
Good job, Draymond.
All right, let's move.
Just listen to what Steve Kerr here says about this whole affair.
There's no way Klay Thompson should have been thrown out of the game. I mean, he's running up the floor, and the guy grabs his jersey, and he's pulling on him, and so Klay pulls back.
Wiggins will step back three. And so we're scoreless. We'll stay 0-0 the first 2 minutes. And then...
And no way Klay should have been ejected. That was ridiculous.
So Kerr clearly didn't see the part preceding this whole event with Klay grabbing the jersey first. Like, who's telling him this stuff?
Draymond piece of it, if you watch the replay, Rudy had his hands on Klay's neck, and that's why Draymond went after Rudy. And I saw one replay right after it happened. The guys on the back of the bench were telling us that Rudy had Draymond or had Klay, and that's why Draymond went at Rudy. So that's all I know.
So Rudy clearly has Klay, but not by the neck, like Kerr says. If you don't know what you're talking about, just don't talk at all. Draymond clearly choking him, and obviously when Kerr seen Dylan Brooks do this to Gary Payton, you know, he had a whole spiel about how he broke the code. But I'm not surprised he's lying about this whole stuff. Not Rudy Gobert said something interesting about Draymond.
Every time Steph doesn't play, he doesn't want to play well. He'll just do anything he can to be ejected.
So knowing that he got suspended 5 games for doing this a month ago, we were all wondering how long he was going to get it this time.
And sources say the NBA is suspending Golden State's Draymond Green indefinitely.
And one thing that stood out for me when I saw the interviews about the whole suspension was Joe Dumars' side of it. him talking about what led to the decision of suspending Draymond.
How did the NBA get to this decision?
A lot of times people get caught up into like a number, like what's the number? And we didn't want to do that.
It seemed like the NBA recently had a change of heart.
We knew that there would be some level of punishment, but we didn't want that to be the focus. We wanted the focus to be on how can we help Draymond as well?
So seeing that the league is now progressive all of a sudden, they see a repeat offender and they want to rehabilitate him into playing in the NBA.
What does indefinite mean from a minimum perspective? Can you give us any kind of clue whatsoever what that entails?
Stephen, we have no number. And here's the reason why. The help that he needs to get, getting himself better, is what's most important. We don't want to put a number on you have this many games to go out and get the help that you need to get better.
So really, this is a lot of yapping from the league office, but one word stood out.
Getting himself better, get the help that you need to get better. For him to get better, Draymond getting better. For him to get better, to help him get better.
But is this what Draymond needs? Does he need counseling all of a sudden?
I hate that y'all put that narrative on him.
I don't like that they're painting him that he's crazy now, though.
Yeah, like he got to go to therapy.
Yeah, like
so let me get this straight. This guy's a repeat offender. He's done this for years. Even when they were winning, he was doing this. But I guess they were winning back then, so it didn't matter much.
4 or 5 years ago when he was doing that, y'all was saying, oh, he's a great power forward.
It's funny how once you stop winning and you start losing again, you go from being the heart and soul of the Warriors dynasty to now being a parasite that this team needs to remove. And I'm glad Shaq pointed this out, and I want to point out something about Joe Dumars, his background.
That's our fault. And when I say our, that's my fault, that's Ben Wallace's fault, that's Chauncey's fault, that's Rip Hamilton's fault, Tayshawn's fault, that's Corliss's fault. Everybody in that locker room, because he grew up in our locker room. One of his best friends was the son of the GM. Mm-hmm. So he was around us, practice, in the locker room, after games, before games, so he heard the different language, and we all know it's a different language when the cameras is not there. Mm-hmm. Got to be professional with it a little bit, but he heard all that, and that's what made him go out there. That's why he doing the bully shit, the bully shit he doing now, in my opinion.
And of course, Draymond, having grown up in Saginaw, Michigan, he's been in a few rough spots in his life. And he's seen how rough the Pistons were back then with Joe Dumars playing with Isaiah Thomas. And of course, that city has some rough areas as well. And to point out Joe Dumars' influence on Draymond, during the draft combine, he said, me and Joe D talk about everything. That's like a father to me. And it's funny now seeing this conflict of interest play out. Joe Dumars having to be the one suspending Draymond. In an actual court of law, this will be pointed out and obviously be addressed, but nope. The NBA hired him back in 2022.
You were appointed to the position in May. You oversee the development of rules.
And this coincides with when Draymond in the playoffs was getting into a bit of trouble.
Jack, was that a flagrant 2?
No, it wasn't a flagrant 2. It's a hard foul. It was the playoffs.
So Draymond here in game 1 of the second round does this.
And then Anderson picks it back up. Clock inside is fouled.
That's going to be a flagrant.
The chance here from the Grizzly fans. I got to say,
James Williams told him that. And Steve Kerr's reaction.
Yep, he's going back to the locker room.
And let's listen here to what the referees had to say about this one.
Draymond Green has been ejected for the windup to the face, impact to the face, the follow through for the jersey, and the throw down to the ground.
Soft call, fellas. That's pretty soft call. They would have called that back in your day.
And Draymond, having a gig at Turner Sports, goes on to TNT to complain.
You actually committed 2 flagrant 1 fouls.
How? Where's the first flagrant 1?
1.5.
And wait,
2.
You ain't pulling his jersey?
I'm flying away from him, Chuck. So naturally, he's going to come that way.
And of course, he's going to justify to his audience why he did this.
Why didn't you not let go?
Because then he's going to fall in his face and they're going to say, I tried to do it if I let him go.
Okay, all right. There it is.
This is me you talking to now. We know I play by a different set of rules, which I'm okay with.
But then he's going to tell you, oh, I'm not playing the victim.
Play basketball for a living. Have an incredible family, incredible life. I'm not picked on. There's other people that's picked on. I'm no victim. I'm never going to change the way I play basketball. It's gotten me this far. It's gotten me 3 championships, 4 All-Stars, Defensive Player of the Year. Not going to change now.
And the media, they were right behind him, saying he should not change a damn thing about his game.
No, he doesn't need to change anything. That's not who he is. You cannot take that away from him. You lose that edge, Draymond Green will be a shell of himself.
Like, he is a basketball low-key genius. He's like a Rajon Rondo.
He's a second-round guy who clawed and climbed his way up the ladder to become scrappy. And I'm sure the Golden State Warriors and Steve Kerr and Steph Curry and Klay Thompson don't want him to change.
And then the following game, he ends up getting hit in the face by Xavier Tillman.
He gets hit in the face and he's down.
And unfortunately, he ends up being bloodied on the floor. And yeah, that hurts. But what he does here is interesting. And yeah, Draymond Green giving the finger to the fans that are booing him, and he's unapologetic.
After you got hit in the eye when you walked off the court, you flipped off the fans. It looked like, what was going through your mind?
You're going to boo somebody who get elbowed in the eye and face running on blood, you should get flipped off. So I'll take the fine, I'll go do an appearance and make up the money.
And right here, he was punching pretty low.
It felt really good to flip him off. If you're going to boo someone that get elbowed in the eye and blood running down your face, I could have had a concussion or anything. If they're going to be that nasty, I can be nasty too. And I'm assuming the cheers was because they know I'll get fined. Great, I make $25 million a year, I should be just fine.
And seeing this all play out, I was just left with a disgusting taste in my mouth. I know Draymond got hurt, but dang, bro.
So hard to root for. Oh,
okay,
God,
so I guess
so
you have an issue.
Just shut up and play, will you please? America's tired of Draymond Green. Hey, San Francisco fans, different story. Oh, they're tired of. Listen, be quiet and play. Who in the world is sitting there? He's so polarizing. I can't root for him. I understand how good he is. I can't root for him.
If he had just said that he was hard to root for, there would not be any problems here.
That has the same sort of connotations that the shut up and dribble crowd has towards athletes, and I have a real problem with that. And specifically with Draymond, the idea that America is tired of him. You do realize the guy has a very, very popular podcast that he hosts where he talks himself for a majority of the episode.
And speaking on that podcast, yeah, Draymond did respond to Mad Dog.
He says, America is tired of Draymond Green. That definitely had a very racist connotation. Who are you to say, like, what have you done in your life to say America's tired of him? Shut up and play. Those shut up and play, shut up and dribble days, those are long gone.
And I just want to get more into this network here, the volume which Draymond hosts his podcast. Not just him, though. There's a whole bunch of other podcasts that are being hosted here. And it's all founded by this dude, Colin Cowherd.
When I watch Ben Simmons play, that is something between LeBron and Magic.
If you want to meet somebody that has bad takes but also lacks integrity, here you go, boys. Because this guy, during the whole kerfuffle with Charles Oakley and James Dolan and the MSG, Draymond Green on his older podcast Dre Day said regarding James Dolan, that's a slave mentality, a slave master mentality.
That came out the wrong way or came off the wrong way, and it wasn't really what I meant by it.
And the reason why I highlight this is because of what Colin said like a day later.
We all want our athletes to be politicians. We want our athletes to have big, strong opinions. This is what happens. I try to stay in my lane and not get out in the weeds and stay in the fairway. If we want our athletes to talk, and I don't, if we want our athletes to be bon vivants, talk about politics and culinary and fashion, you get this clunky stuff that I think doesn't work.
Not just that, but when Ben Simmons was the #1 pick, there was a question asking, what if he's the next Draymond Green? Well, Colin had this to say.
What if he's the next Draymond Green? Colin, read between the lines. It would be a disappointment if Ben Simmons is the next Draymond Green.
Oh, yes. Absolutely great read. Draymond Green, 4 years in, is a side dish. He's Ringo Starr. If Ringo Starr's not on the Beatles, he couldn't sell out this studio. You wouldn't know who Draymond Green is on the Pelicans. 4 years into the league, he's averaging 8 and 6.
Seems like this dude doesn't like Draymond much. Well, there's more where that came from, because at this game, when KD was asking for the ball, and then, obviously this went to overtime.
They got to get a shot off, and they don't.
Obviously, this is during the commercial break, but you'll see here Draymond Green and Kevin Durant jawing at each other. And of course, there was some bad blood there, so much so that the Warriors had to intervene and suspend Draymond. And of course, Colin had some things to say about this matter.
The media keeps telling me, Klay Thompson's out of here. He's going to the Lakers. It's a 3-man band. The first guy off the island is going to be Draymond Green. Draymond Green doesn't fit this team. He's the bully at the nightclub. He's the bouncer. He's the class clown. He fits this band, but the band doesn't need him. He's Ringo Starr. They don't need him.
It seemed like around this time, he had a low opinion of what Draymond brought to this Warriors team. In 2019, when after they lost Game 5 to the Clippers, he said this.
Draymond Green, to me, has been reduced to an ineffective shooter, an average defender, and almost an annoyance to his teammates as much as the other team.
And around 2022, he changed his tune, and it's obvious why.
A lot of people, he can be annoying, and he's got a very Rodman-esque feel, but he's a better offensive player. I would take Draymond Green's career over Carmelo Anthony or Russell Westbrook, and be honest with you, I think I'd take it over James Harden.
And the more you hear him talk, the more comical it gets, man.
I don't even think he's that much of a villain. I
don't think he is either, but, I mean, if you are playing against Draymond Green and you are going to consider him a villain.
Time out. Ryan's yelling at me. You think he's a villain?
Colin, I know you have a soft spot for a very obvious reason.
The mask is beginning to slip, folks, and you can clearly see the agendas.
You think he's a villain?
I think anyone who is not a Warriors fan looks at Draymond Green as a villain.
Draymond is a fascinating player. So he was a second-round pick, total grinder. He is part of my podcast company, The Volume. He's awesome. So I don't think he's a villain because I think, first of all, people turn into his podcast because they like him.
He's a likable bill
Laimbeer tackled people. He was a villain.
I don't think people think he's like a genuinely bad person.
No, he's a great guy.
But
there's two different things.
Right, but from a basketball fan perspective, when people watch him play, they go, "I don't like that guy."
Really?
Yeah.
If you've ever seen, it's funny. If you've ever seen Draymond in person, I saw him at a fight. He is the most gregarious athlete. He's like all fun.
It got so bad that he hosted a top 20 of the last 20 years and put Draymond on it based on these criterias. Shameless stuff here. Bro probably has chin pads, hasn't wiped his mouth in years.
Coming in at 16, Draymond Green. 3 titles. 4 times an NBA All-Star.
And you know, Colin, before he's done, he has to get one more in him. He has one more.
It should also be noted, he hosts the greatest sports podcast in America on my network.
And I host the greatest NBA channel in the world, so be sure to subscribe. Sorry, I could not resist a shameless plug. Okay, now back to the video. Part of the reason this dude never gets held accountable for the things he does is because the media loves him.
Before I signed with Turner, I was actually offered a spot on First Take.
It's fun for people to platform this dude and talk about all the stuff he does in the finals, including this one.
When you're on the ground, why do you try to pull people's pants down?
It's the same reason I got kicked out of the fucking NBA Finals. No man is just going to step and stand over me. I'm sorry. I have a kid watching at home.
This is 8 years ago, by the way, and we're still having to bring this stuff up.
Green and James jawing at each other while play continues. Remember, Draymond Green is 1 flagrant foul and 2 technicals away from being suspended.
And obviously, in this finals, he got ejected and suspended because he had too many flagrants.
The Warriors lost Game 5. And even with Green back for Game 6, Golden State would lose the series.
With the stakes being this high, Draymond obviously looks back at that a year later and says, you know, part of it was his fault.
It's one of the most brutal things I ever had to go through in my life. If I played, we win, of course. So I do feel it's my fault that we lost.
You feel it's your fault?
Absolutely my fault. But I don't feel wrong for what I did at all.
And it's clear this guy hasn't learned from this mistake even back then. And in 2022, he talked about this pride he has.
How did you sort of process what happened at the end of Game 4 in 2016 in the aftermath of them coming back 3-1? And has that perspective or processing changed at all now 6 years later?
The only thing that may have changed is I'm not sure I would react the same in the moment just because I've grown as a person. I don't regret reacting the way I reacted in the moment because the only reason I can't promise you that I wouldn't react that way because if somebody steps over my shoulder, I'm naturally going to try to get you off my shoulder. That's just who I am. I don't want a guy stepping over my shoulder. I'm sorry, I just don't. But what I do know is I think LeBron coaxed me into that. And I know for sure today he couldn't coax me into that.
With the NBA amplifying all of his actions, this also amplifies his pride.
How am I supposed to explain to DJ? Daddy, why was that dude standing over you while you land on the ground? Because I can't explain that. But what I can explain is why I'm pulling up on him so because he's standing on. I can explain that.
And anyway, his role is to be the enforcer of the team. He is doing his job here.
When Jaylen Brown went in the media and said he tried to pull my shorts down, I knew I took his heart. Because you know you're standing over me. And you're going to go to the media and say he was trying to pull my shorts down. Like, come on, bro, you standing over me. Like, own it. I got to tell all these, stand on that. You got to stand on business.
And obviously, during that finals, they ended up beating the Celtics in 6. And John Moran and Draymond Green went back and forth. But that wasn't all that was going on. There was the contract extension talks.
We about to get it back.
And let's just say those two guys, Wiggins and Poole, yeah, they were going to get their money's worth.
Andrew Wiggins has a year left on his contract, $33 million next season before he could potentially become a free agent. There's a motivation this summer to see if they can keep Andrew Wiggins long term.
And of course, that's with Wiggins, but with Jordan Poole, there's a deadline that is coming up really soon.
I think first when you look at Jordan Poole, right, you said he has a deadline, right? The other two guys, that's a year, 2 years down the line. Jordan Poole on October 17th.
Jordan Poole is going to get paid. It's going to cost Golden State dearly, roughly $27, $28 million per year for him.
So that means there's going to be some big decisions made because Draymond has a player option coming up that we expect he's going to decline. So you're going to have to pay him some money too.
Get through Jordan Poole and Andrew Wiggins first, and then when it's actually that year where you're confronted and you have to figure out Draymond Green, and is he worth that max extension? Because how old is he going to be by the time that it's time to sign that?
He's worth a lot of money, but
yeah,
the max, I don't know.
Right. So cross the...
So you could deduce as well that this also had to do with the reason why Draymond and Jordan Poole went at it and why Draymond punched him in practice.
I was wrong for my actions that took place on Wednesday. And for that, I have apologized to my team. I have apologized to Jordan.
And at this point, Draymond Green needs to be held accountable for what he did. But the Warriors, all they seemed to care about was that the whole thing got leaked in the first place.
Warriors are going to use every legal action possible to figure out how this video was leaked. They feel that it was a gross invasion of privacy and breach in trust.
No disciplinary actions given here. Draymond, you can only take some time off to film your documentary or whatever.
Sparked by the leak of the video, the incident did blow up. It went viral. It was everywhere.
Instead of holding this dude accountable, you allow him to take some time off to film a stupid documentary talking about the whole situation as if he's the victim of the whole situation. It's really stupid. And then months later, even though he apologized, he still defends himself here.
That video was put out there like that to portray me the exact way it did. Does that mean I was not wrong in what I did? No. But in everything, there's also a full story. I don't care to share my story. One day I will. It ain't the time nor the place, nor do I care to share it.
He even said the same thing this summer. He was more so justifying himself for what he did. I mean, just listen to this.
Cameron, he recently reported a dialogue of what may have happened, what may have been said.
Then he told Draymond, why is your Twitter handle Money Green when you broke and you're not going to get a new contract? And that's the one that broke the camel's back when he ended up punching him in the face.
First off, how accurate was that?
His dialogue was like, it obviously wasn't accurate, but like, we all, like, I don't just hit people. Like, I've been in this league 11 years. I ain't just hit nobody. You know what I'm saying? Like,
it's funny because the dialogue, apparently some guy said that Poole said, you're the expensive backpack for 30. So maybe it was about the contract talks after all.
On October 12th, 4 days after his exile, for lack of a better word, Draymond Green arises for an early morning workout at his residence. He has to keep his body ready. Today, he has work to do. The previous night,
this documentary, no joke, has to be one of the dumbest attempts at PR I've ever seen. No, the Warriors didn't want to suspend Draymond so that he doesn't miss the ring night.
Draymond Green!
If the Warriors had any spine to them, they would have made sure this guy missed ring night so that he could learn a lesson. But no, why would we want him to learn a lesson?
So he grabs Draymond's leg right there. Now Draymond steps on him.
And obviously, Draymond gets ejected. It's a flagrant 2. He gets suspended 1 game. And the only reason they were able to win this series is because Curry went for 50. Now they have to play the Lakers, and they met their match.
And such disappointment for the Golden State Warriors, whose season will come to an end here in Los Angeles.
And you got Bron and Draymond hugging. Oh, boy. And even Steve Kerr admits that that punch derailed the season.
There's no hiding from it. The incident with Draymond and Jordan at the beginning of the year played a role in that. It's hard for that not to impact a team.
Are you still playing if that stuff with Jordan Poole didn't happen early in the season?
I absolutely think so.
And now in the offseason, they have to make a decision. Draymond's player option comes up, and obviously Draymond declines it for more money. And now Bob Myers steps down as Warriors GM and gets Mike Dunleavy, the guy who's more known for getting kicked in the face and getting dropped by Giannis. That guy to make a trade, so he does trade Jordan Poole for Chris Paul so that Draymond gets money.
You send Poole away, you free up some money, and Draymond Green is coming back, according to Mark Spears reporting from Manscaped.
Also, Draymond gets paid less money annually, but he still gets paid more money.
Draymond actually saved them some money here, basically coming in. We had him at projected $30 million, opted out of 27.6, so we're going to just drop his number down to $22 million.
How important was it to Steph and Clay that Draymond remain with this team and this core stays together for another title push?
This was paramount for the Warriors to extend their championship window.
Again, they never held this guy accountable, but now they have to pay him up to extend this window.
Forward Draymond Green, he is back with the team after being reinstated by the league last weekend. He's missed the last 12 games, with the Dubs going 7-5 during that span.
The Warriors are now 12th in the Western Conference, outside of the play-in, okay? Their season's going so bad, but Draymond has to go on his little press tour that he always goes on when he comes back from suspension.
I had a conversation with Adam Silver. I just told him, Adam, it's too much for me. It's all becoming too much for me, and I'm going to retire. Adam said, you're making a very rash decision, and I won't let you do that. Coach Kerr came to visit me after shoot-around, and we sat in the yard. He cried, I cried. My antics has been over the top, of course. Can I remove those? Am I capable of removing those? Of course.
No more buts. Just, an apology needs to be an apology, and then you move on. But then you have to learn from that apology. That's just kind of basic, standard, behavior.
I've cost this organization enough. It's not a time for me to just come back and be like, all right, I'm going to take my time and get back when I can. No, you caused this yourself.
Oh my gosh, guys, he cried with Steve Kerr in the house. Oh my gosh, guys, he almost retired. Adam Silver told him not to. I don't believe a single word of this nonsense. This is just him trying to get PR. He's saying all the right things so that you can feel sympathetic for him, only for him to, for the next week, fall back on all that bullshit that he said. And now the Warriors are willing to trade anybody but Steph. Draymond, that means your ass might get put in the trade block. Good riddance, loser.
Talk about an idiot. You want to call anybody an idiot? Look no further than Draymond Green himself.